With new management running the Bulls, can they finally turn this team back in the right direction? Let's give them some help on this edition of The Nest. Hello everybody, welcome back to The Nest, RXP. My name is Robin, welcoming you back as we're rebuilding each NBA team in their off season. And today we're tackling the Chicago Bulls, a team that has had some problematic draftings the last couple of years, made some questionable calls, but hopefully with new management, with my guy Bryson Graham running the team now, I think things are going to be a lot better. Bryson Graham did a phenomenal job here in New Orleans, and he's going to continue to do a phenomenal job in Chicago. So y'all got yourselves a good one there, so I like the choice of signing him. But now the Chicago Bulls have a lot of things to look forward to. They have 2 first-round picks this year, 2 second-round picks, plus they have some decent young talent. They got Matas Buzelis, and then they got Josh Giddey if they decide to keep him, which we're going to be talking about that in a minute. And they have a lot of things going well for them, and I think they're finally going in the right direction. But let's see if we can get them a little ahead in their direction starting this offseason. So first off with the Bulls, let's tackle their 4 NBA draft picks this year. I'm not going to trade for any more picks or anything like that in this, so we can just knock them out the way right now because this will establish our core for the future. So at the 4th pick, it's pretty much just whoever's left. If for some reason Darren Peterson's still there, if for some reason Cam Boozer's there, you pick either of those, but the most likely option will be Caleb Wilson, who you would draft at 4. And I like him really well with this team. I think he's going to fit beautifully with this whole team. So while I would like Cam Boozer, I think he would be better for this team long term. I do think that Caleb Wilson will fit fine for now, and I do think he'll be perfectly. He will still be a really good player with the Bulls, and I do like what this team can do with him as well. And then with the 15th pick, I had them taking A.D. Mara. There's something I've just been noticing in recent drafts is that if you just take the long 7+ footer, the 7'2", 7'3" guy, there's a good chance you're going to get a defensive monster out of it, and he's going to work beautifully for your team. Just case in point, obviously Wemby, but Donovan Clingan, Zach Edey, other such guys, any of these guys will be really good for you. So that's why I'm picking A.D. Mara, and I think a defensive duo of Caleb Wilson and A.D. Mara would be an absolutely key piece for your future. So I like those two in the front court long term. And then for the 2 second-round picks, I just had Tunde Yasaofu. I'm butchering that name probably. And then Elijah Arenas. These are just 2 forwards that I think would be fine. Second-round picks are kind of just... they're iffy selections either way, but I picked those 2. Maybe they turn out well, maybe they don't, but that's what I think the Bulls should do in terms of the draft. And now for the trades. I think there is a ton of options that the Bulls could do with their trades, but the first trade I have them doing that I think they should do regardless is trading Tre Jones for Dorian Finney-Smith and 3 second-round picks. I think this is perfect for the Rockets. I think this is fine for the Bulls. You get 3 second-round picks out of it. You get a wing defender if you really want to use him, but if not, you have him. And you get second-round picks out of it, and you maximize Tre Jones' value. I think the Rockets need it, and I think the Bulls can just capitalize on the fact that the Rockets need it, and they can probably milk them for a little more picks if they felt the need to. And now, this is where it gets tricky because there's a lot of options, but I don't know if I like any of them in particular, and we're going to go through them all. So, the key to this is just we need to make some kind of splash. I'm saying we as in the Bulls. The Bulls need to make some kind of splash, not necessarily for a star, but just to maximize off of these assets that they have, and I think there's a couple ways they can do that. So the first thing I drew up was aiding a DY trade. I'm not saying DY goes to the Bulls. I don't think that fits well with the timeline or anything at all, but I think they could aid that process a little bit, and it could look something like this. So it would be with the Celtics, Bulls, and Mavericks. So the Celtics would acquire Isaac Okoro from obviously the Bulls, Jalen Smith and Noah Segway from the Bulls, and then the Mavericks will acquire Derek White, and the Bulls will acquire Klay Thompson and Max Christie and a collection of second-round picks from both teams, most likely more of them coming from the most of their own Chicago picks and such coming from the Celtics and Mavericks. So I don't hate this idea. I don't like the idea of giving up a segue as a relatively young player so early, but you get Max Christie who can be that starting shooting guard of the future, and you get a ton more picks out of it, so it can be good, and I don't hate the idea of either team doing this. For the Celtics, I love it because you get a wing defender in Isaac Okoro, you get Jalen Smith who fit that team beautifully, and then you get a young guy in Noah Segway to be good. But for the Bulls, I'm not liking this trade as much, but I drew it up just as a possibility. Another option I saw is trading for Tyler Hero. I'm not a big fan of this because I think it's a little early to jump into that bed right there. But I think it's an option that if you wanted to look at, if you wanted to have another shooting guard or another guard to kind of build this team around, he's a little bit older, so he's not going to get that much better. But it's not a terrible trade. You can give up not a ton for him. It would just be Isaac Okoro, Jalen Smith, Noah Segway, and then a 2029 first round pick for Tyler Hero from the Heat. Again, I don't hate it. I don't. The Heat could probably get a better offer for him, and you know that the Heat would. Pat Riley is going to maximize his value as much as he can, but it's an option if you wanted to just try and get Tyler Hero. But I'm personally not a big fan of this, so I think the best option is to try and just make sign and trade offers or just sign people like Peyton Watson or Benedict Mathurin. And there's guys that you can easily sign and trade with. I think no matter what, you're going to need to sign and trade in order to get him. But I think the best offer is for Peyton Watson's obviously the dream, but I think it's more likely you can get Benedict Mathurin off the Clippers, and you'd probably have to give up Jalen Smith and Okoro or one of the two in order to sign and trade and get him. And I love this for both teams. I love this for the Bulls in particular. I think Benedict Mathurin would be a perfect shooting guard to pair alongside with Josh Giddey to start off at the very least, and he's another young guy that you can. He can't take the keys to the offense necessarily, but he can be a pretty good offensive creator for you. And a team with Josh Giddey, Benedict Mathurin, Matas Buzelis, and Caleb Wilson, with those four guys running your offense, plus Adam Mara and I keep forgetting his name, Caleb Wilson, running the front court defensively, that's a pretty good team for the future once they develop a little bit. So I like this trade, and I like the sign and trade, and I like the signing for them. The question is, will they like it? Will Mathurin want to come to Chicago? Will Peyton Watson want to come to Chicago? Will the Clippers, will the Nuggets match those offers? That's the big question. So it's not definite, but I do think it's possible to do that. And then it's mainly just small things after that. I would definitely trade Rob Dillingham. I think that's an easy guy you can move off of just because he doesn't fit the timeline. I don't care for him too much as a player, and I don't care for him too much with this team. So trading him in a 3-team trade that sends Cam Spencer to the Celtics and Rob Dillingham to the Grizzlies, and then the Bulls will acquire Luka Garza. Just a nice little trade. You get a backup center. He's not going to be part of the core long term, but you just maximize Rob Dillingham's value. You can maybe get a second round pick or something out of it from the Celtics in order to make it happen. And for the Grizzlies, I like this trade. You get another point guard that you can possibly start building your team around, and he's a young guy who you can just give freedom to and let him roam free. So that's what I like. And then I would just sign some type of wing or off guard to run the bench with the other guys. I like Quentin Grimes in that role. I like Keon Ellis in that role. There's other guys you can probably go and get. Bryce McGowan is a guy that you can get for cheap pretty easily. He's not going to be the same quality of player, but he's a guy you can get for them. But other than that, I think that's it because I like Yuki Kamura. I can't pronounce his name right. I need to look at it in order to be able to pronounce it right. But I like Yuki as that backup point guard for the future. I really like him with the Chicago team. Having him and then Josh Giddey be those 2 point guards, I think is perfect for this team. And other than that, it's just a matter of letting these guys develop and see what you can do with them. Because I think this team can be pretty solid to start out. I don't think they're going to be amazing. But I do think given time to develop a little more, they can be very, very good. So the team would look something like this. You would have Josh Giddey running the point guard, Benedict Mathurin starting at shooting guard, Montas Buzelis at small forward, Caleb Wilson at power forward, and then Adam Mara starting at center. And then off the bench, you have Yuki Kimura, Quentin Grimes, Patrick Williams, Noah Segway, Luka Garza, and then the 2 rookies that you got in the second round, Yusufu and Arenas, or whatever second round picks that you end up getting. All in all, I don't hate this team. I do think that they should look to trade Josh Giddey, whether it's now or whether it's in the at the trade deadline. I don't think he fits the team that well long term, but I also didn't trade him to start out because I think you can build his trade value up a bit more and see if you can maximize his trade value at the trade deadline. So that's what I would be looking forward to once you get down that route. And also, I just don't think a ton of teams want Josh Giddey right now. They don't really need him. So I think it'll be a lot easier to trade him later on once teams actually figure out what they need and what they want. But let me know what you think. Do you think the Bulls should trade Josh Giddey? Do you think am I'm in the wrong for hesitating to trade him so early, or do you think I should just go ahead and move him? And do you think that Bennedict Mathurin or Peyton Watson, do you think any of these guys would want to come to the Bulls? The Bulls are a pretty lucrative franchise with new management. They're going to be doing great things. You're going to have a rookie. I think they could easily see it as a desirable location. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. But again, make sure to follow, make sure to subscribe, make sure to go check out the TikTok and everything. But stay tuned, y'all. And until then, peace.